Hey, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. My name is Tom.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
It is our literature unit for the month of May, and we're going to be talking about our featured work of literature for the next 3 days, today and then 2 days after that. And the book we're going to be talking about is a famous novel from England. It was published way back in 1819. It's about the history of England and the Norman conquest and stuff like that, and it is entitled Ivanhoe by Sir Walter Scott.
Yeah, an interesting description I found online of Sir Walter Scott was that he was kind of like our modern-day J.K. Rowling. When he was alive, he was already famous for his writing, which back in the day, as you know, a lot of these writers or painters, they produced beautiful works of art, but they died poor. They made no money from what they'd done. But he did do well. A lot of people loved his stuff. He started out as a poet and then went to writing novels. So we're going to be talking about one of the famous books that he wrote. It can be very complicated. There are a lot of characters and parts and things in this, but I think our author for English Digest really summarized this very well. I think it's easier to follow along this way, so we hope you enjoy it.
So let's get to it. Let's read the first day of our lesson, and we'll be right back to discuss it. Our story takes place in medieval England, and times are hard for many. King Richard is a prisoner overseas, while his brother Prince John is gathering allies to seize the throne. For over a century, the Saxon population of England has been oppressed by the Norman nobles. The Saxon knight Ivanhoe, a supporter of Richard, returns to England from the Crusades. Ivanhoe is in danger, as Prince John's followers will likely attack him, so he disguises himself even from Cedric, his father, and Rowena, the woman Ivanhoe loves. Ivanhoe participates in a knight's tournament and emerges victorious, overthrowing many of Prince John's followers in the process. He is assisted by a mysterious knight in black armor. However, he is wounded in the fight and is looked after by Rebecca, a beautiful Jewish physician. At that time, there was a severe prejudice against Jews, but Ivanhoe treats her with more kindness and equality than most Christians do. Rebecca begins to feel attracted to him. Following the tournament, a group of Prince John's knights led by Brian de Bois-Guilbert, who has no ethical scruples, captures Cedric's party on their journey home. Both Rowena and Rebecca are with Cedric's party, as is Ivanhoe, though only Rebecca knows he is there. Bois-Guilbert takes everyone to a castle and confesses his forbidden passion for Rebecca. She threatens to commit suicide to escape him, but this only increases his admiration for her strength of character. Cedric, meanwhile, must pay an immense ransom for his release, and the wounded Ivanhoe will be killed if his identity is discovered. Fortunately for the prisoners, help is at hand.
Okay, guys, let's get started. We're going to be talking about this very famous classical novel. It's a classic because it's been popular for many, many, many years. So let's look at the title. It says Scott's Ivanhoe captures the spirit of medieval England. If you capture something, you can actually be literally taking something into your hands and controlling it. But you can also capture things through photography or recording something that's important to you so that you'll have it to look back on or listen to it. Maybe it's for historical purposes. Lots of people like to capture wonderful moments in their lives by taking pictures. And we're capturing the spirit, at least the novel is. It's kind of letting us get a sense of how it felt to live in medieval England. This word medieval has about 5 different pronunciations. So for the most part, it's pronounced medieval or medieval with a long E sound. I'm like Tom. I pronounce it with more of the short I, medieval. But they're all correct, so pick the one you like. There are even some people that say medieval, which I just think is too crazy. Too many syllables. But we're going to be talking about this really important classic novel by Scott for the next couple of lessons. Let's get going.
Right, so medieval England, of course, is the period of history that occurred before the Renaissance, just in case you wanted to know. And here's the first paragraph. It says, our story takes place in medieval England, and times are hard for many. Times are difficult for many people. They have trouble making a living, making enough money to survive. And then, of course, we've got lots of political problems as well. There's lots of fighting going on, and people are dying and getting sick. You get the idea.
So we've got a king here, King Richard. This is a real person, guys, in real life. He existed. So he is a prisoner overseas. So he is not at home. He's been captured and taken prisoner. And his brother, if you are a king, your brother is a prince, and your sister is a princess, as most of you out there know. So his brother, Prince John, is gathering allies to seize the throne. Now, if you have allies, and we have allies today, you don't have to be at war. Maybe you have really good friends that you consider to be your allies. Your allies are people who are loyal to you, who will stand up for you no matter what. Because they're loyal. Here, if you're experiencing war, your allies are the countries or the people that are willing to fight alongside you against an enemy that you both consider to be bad. So he's trying to gather allies, and what does he want to do? Well, Prince John wants to seize the throne. When you seize something, you grab something tightly. You can use it to take hold of someone's arm. Someone seized your arm and jerked you away from traffic that was coming because they wanted to save your life. You can also seize something. If you're an army, you would seize a city or a country by taking it by force, by using guns and weapons to actually take control of that area. You're seizing control.
Right. In this case, of course, they want to seize the throne. They want to take over the government. And, of course, at the time, the government was a kingdom. We had kings and queens and stuff ruling the country. And for over a century, for over 100 years, the Saxon population of England has been oppressed by the Norman nobles. Okay, so, of course, if you're oppressed, that means people are taking advantage of you because they've got all the power and you don't. In a lot of parts of the world, minorities are oppressed by majorities, or rich people can oppress other people. This is passive here, to be oppressed by someone. In this case, the Saxons are oppressed by the Normans, especially the Norman nobles. And, of course, at the time, we've got different kinds of people living in England. The Anglo-Saxons, or the Saxons, came from Germany a long time before that, or from the mainland. And then we've got the Normans, who invaded from France a little before this.
The Normans were originally from Scandinavia.
Okay.
But they did come over from France. Normandy. Probably some of our listeners know of Normandy. That's in France, part of northern France. So it gets kind of confusing. But, yeah, we're just going to keep this simple here. So we've got Prince John, who's trying to get his friends together. They want to seize the throne that has been taken over by the bad guys. So we've got the Saxon knight Ivanhoe. He actually supports his Norman king, who is Richard, and he's returning to England from fighting in the Crusades. The Crusades were these religious wars where Christians were going over to the Holy Land, which is the area of the Middle East now, in particular Jerusalem. They wanted to fight and get those lands back into Christian control. When they fought the Crusades, of course, the Muslims were in control of that area. So he's coming back after fighting over there in the Middle East. Now, Ivanhoe is in danger. Why? Well, Prince John's followers will likely attack him. So he's going to watch out for himself. So what does he do? Well, like a lot of people who are in danger, they try to disguise themselves. If you disguise yourself, you just dress up in different clothing. Maybe you're wearing a wig, or you put glasses on, or maybe you dye your hair or cut it. You do something so you're not as recognizable. So he disguises himself from Cedric, who is his father. So remember, Ivanhoe's father is Cedric, and his father is a Saxon. But his son Ivanhoe is supporting the Normans, and that makes Cedric, his father, very angry. Now, Ivanhoe is in love with someone called Rowena. Rowena is also in love with Ivanhoe. But Cedric, his father, doesn't want his son to marry Rowena. We'll find out more about that a little later.
We will, and that brings us to the midpoint of our lesson for today. Let's take a break right now and listen to our Chinese teacher.
听众朋友大家好，我是安娜。我们今天开始又要来带大家听故事咯。今天的故事啊叫做 Ivanhoe。 Ivanhoe 好像很熟哦，好像有一些电影啦，什么电视都有在描述这个 Ivanhoe。 那这个故事呢，它的时间啊、地点啊、角色啊，我们现在赶快来介绍一下。因为只要是说故事嘛，从小就被教导5个 W 1个 H 都要交代清楚。好，所以第一段的第一句就告诉我们地点是发生在哪里呢？是英格兰 England， 而且是时间中世纪 Medieval 中世纪的英格兰。不过那个时候对很多人来说啊，生活都是很困苦了。好，那出现主角咯，人哦，在第二句 King Richard 国王理查一世。那他当时被囚禁在海外，而他的弟弟约翰亲王，英文叫做 Prince John， 那他正在召集盟友想要夺取那个王位。我们在第一段的第二句这边有逗点之后看到一个 while 在这里是连接词啦，就有表示呢前后子句啊情况对比对照。那最后一个字的 the throne 就是所谓的王位的意思。好，那所以国王 King Richard 囚禁海外，弟弟又想要夺取王位。其实当时1个世纪多以来啊，英格兰啊，当时的 The Saxons 就是萨克逊人，就一直受到他北边那个 Norman Nobles 诺尔曼贵族的这种压迫。那所以呢，效忠 King Richard 有一个骑士，他就是 Ivanhoe。他就是我们故事的主角哦。那他呢是 Saxon， 他是萨克逊人，他是一个 knight， 是一个骑士。那讲到他啦，出现到真正的主角，他当时怎么样的情况呢？在第一段第4句的地方，我们看到最后面，他其实啊，当时刚好返回 England from the Crusades 就是十字军东征。好，这些呢都是很重要的历史事件。所以这个Ivanhoe 其实他是效忠 King Richard， 不过他回来之后面对 Prince John 的一些追随者啊，就让自己陷入很大的危机，因为他一定会有危险嘛，以至于他必须要怎么样呢？甚至在自己的父亲 Cedric 还有自己的所爱的女人啊 Rowena 之前都不能说自己回来，还乔装成他人呢。所以没有人知道这个骑士 Ivanhoe 已经回到 England 咯。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back, guys. It's our literature unit, and we're going to spend a couple of lessons talking about Sir Walter Scott's Ivanhoe, a very famous novel, considered a classic in literature today. And it's set back in a time that was long, long ago in medieval England. And you kind of need to know a little bit about the history. I would encourage our listeners to go online. There are lots of good websites that kind of break down what's going on in history at this point in the novel that'll help you understand a little bit more. Or you can just read it and enjoy it for what it is. There are also movies that are out there that are about Ivanhoe. Even go on YouTube. You can find some stuff and look at it for free, which is also helpful to help you understand what's going on.
So Ivanhoe is the main character in this book, and here in the next paragraph it says, Ivanhoe participates in a knight tournament and emerges victorious overthrowing many of Prince John's followers in the process. So a tournament, of course, is when you have a lot of different competitors competing together for a prize. This can happen, say, with basketball tournaments. We get all these teams together, and then they play games, and then we determine a winner. The World Cup is an example of a tournament. And when you participate in a tournament, you either win or you lose. And if you win, you are victorious. You have achieved victory. And, of course, while he's doing this, in the process, he was able to get rid of Prince John's followers. So it was beneficial to him to win this tournament.
He is assisted by a mysterious knight in black armor. Back in those days, they didn't have guns yet. They were fighting in a very primitive or kind of old-fashioned way. It was kind of horrible to watch them fight in the medieval period of time because they have to get up close and personal with these people. They're using axes and swords and big metal balls to hit each other with. Armor is what they would wear on the outside of their bodies. It would usually be made of some sort of metal to protect themselves from the swords and slings and axes that were coming their way. It says here, he is assisted by a mysterious knight. We don't know who that is when it happens. However, he is wounded in the fight and is looked after by Rebecca, a beautiful Jewish physician. This is an important detail in this novel, the fact that she is Jewish, because we're going to find out that the Jews were treated differently, and there was a big prejudice against them. But we're moving along in the story. What happens next, Tom?
Well, at that time, there was severe prejudice against Jews. Prejudice, of course, means you don't like somebody based on some information you had before. Prejudgment, prejudice.
Right.
But Ivanhoe treats her with more kindness and equality than most Christians do. So equality here just refers to the state of when people are the same. You treat them the same. You don't think you're superior to other people. Of course, we want to see equality between different races of people in the world. And Rebecca begins to feel attracted to him. She's probably thinking, oh, you're such a nice guy.
Yeah.
Everybody else hates me because I'm Jewish, but you're actually nice to me, so I think I love you.
That, of course, is Tom's interpretation. Okay, so, yeah, but you know, when people treat you fairly and with kindness, you do tend to have good feelings, towards them as well. So she begins to feel attracted to him. Now, following the tournament, a group of Prince John's knights, Prince John, of course, is the younger brother of King Richard, a group of his knights. Knights back then, just by the way, were kind of like the warriors. They were the soldiers, the knights. They were led by someone named Brian de Bois-Guilbert, which is a French name, but that doesn't matter. You can say Bois-Guilbert or Gilbert and leave the T off. It's up to you. But he is kind of the bad guy in this book. But he's not completely bad. He has some good qualities. It says here, this group of Prince John's knights, they're led by Brian de Bois-Guilbert, and they just don't have, or he doesn't have any ethical scruples, and he captures Cedric's party on their way home. So if you don't have any ethical scruples, first of all, let's define scruples. Scruples, and it's always used in the plural form, is just a feeling of doubt or hesitation about the morality that is attached to some sort of action you're going to take. So if someone has no scruples, they really don't have any good moral principles or backbone. Ethical, of course, is related to principles. What you believe is right and true in life about anything. It might not be against the law to lie, but it's not ethical to lie. It's considered to be morally bad. So Brian de Bois-Guilbert, he's just kind of a bad guy, and he doesn't ever judge his actions. He thinks everything he does is okay.
Yep, he has no hesitation to capture Cedric's party on their journey home. And both Rowena and Rebecca are with Cedric's party, or with Cedric's group of people, as is Ivanhoe. So Ivanhoe, Rowena, and Rebecca and Cedric are all together, though only Rebecca knows he is there. Remember, Ivanhoe is in disguise, and everybody else believes this except for Rebecca because she has some special information.
Now, Bois Guilbert, remember he's the bad guy, takes everyone to a castle and confesses his forbidden passion for Rebecca. Now, remember, Rebecca is Jewish. She's a Jew, and they're considered to be less than the other people. They're not as great as the Normans or the Saxons because they're Jews. This has been a problem with the Jews down through history. It's been hard for them. Now, if you confess something, he's confessing his love or passion for Rebecca. Just means, you know, he lets everybody know. It's forbidden. If something's forbidden, it's something you shouldn't be doing. It's forbidden to smoke. In most buildings and inside restaurants these days, it's not allowed, it's banned. So those are good words as substitutes or synonyms for forbidden, not allowed, banned. A list of forbidden books could come out. A list of forbidden food that you can bring into Taiwan would include meat. You can't bring in meat.
Exactly. So again, he's got this passion or love for Rebecca, but he's not supposed to feel this way because she's Jewish. You know, he'd get in big trouble if anybody else found out. She's not really interested in him, so she threatens to commit suicide to escape him. If you keep chasing after me, I'm going to commit suicide so you can't ever win my heart. But of course, he's only more interested in her. This only increases his admiration for her strength of character. Ooh, if you're going to threaten to kill yourself, that makes me even more interested in you because that means you've got a strong character, a very strong personality. You don't give up. So he had this admiration for her strength of character. Admiration is when you admire somebody, when you really look up to them, you really respect them, you really like them.
It's not because she wants to commit suicide. That's not why he admires her. He admires her because he wants to sleep with her. And she keeps saying, no matter what, I'll kill myself before I'll sleep with you. And so that increases his admiration for how strong she is. She feels so strongly about this. Cedric, meanwhile, must pay an immense ransom for his release. So remember, Cedric is Ivanhoe's father. If you have to pay an immense ransom, you have to pay a lot of money. Ransom is an amount of money you pay to be released or to get something back that someone took from you. Immense just means very, very big. Immense can be used just to talk about something that's large or very great in scale or degree. And then there's the wounded Ivanhoe, who will be killed if his identity is discovered. Remember, he's in disguise. Fortunately for the prisoners, help is at hand. We use that phrase, help is at hand, when we talk about how there is something just around the corner that will rescue someone or help someone out of a bad spot. We'll be talking more about that in our next program. But right now, we're going to listen to our Chinese teacher.
接着就到我们第二段的地方。那第二段发生什么事情呢？当时Ivanhoe回去之后就参加了一场骑士的比武大会。那因为他本来就很厉害嘛，这个武将所以他崭露头角，还获得冠军。不过在这个过程当中，他也击败了 Prince John 很多的追随者。在第二段第一句的地方有个分词构句哦，其实它有3个动作。第一个动作是 participate in something， 第二个动作是 emerges， 中间有 and 的连接，可是逗点之后的击败 overthrow 这个动词就没有连接词了，所以第3个动作会变成动词 ing， 这就是分词构句，句子的一个简化。那通常都是因为动词同时发生或者是呢要有一个动词的一种动感才会用分词构句。 不过呢，他也不是说真的是那么100分的厉害。怎么说？因为第2句提到，他当时受到一个身穿黑色铠甲的神秘骑士的协助哦，所以这神秘骑士一定也是一个关键的角色。好，又出现另外一个角色。不过当时他在战争当中就身负了重伤，然后身负重伤，大家看医生嘛。那这个医生也很重要，是一个女医师，叫做 Rebecca。但是呢，特别有提到她的种族是一个犹太医生。好，我们在第2段的第3句的地方看到一个 Jewish physician， 就是犹太医生内科医师Jewish physician。那当时为什么要特别提到他的这个种族？因为其实当时大家对犹太人就是会有很严重的偏见。第4句出现偏见这个字很重要 ，prejudice。但是Ivanhoe 不会因为这个医生是犹太人，然后就对他不好哦，反而对待他比大多数的基督徒都更加的仁慈，一视同仁。所以 Rebecca 就蛮喜欢他的。好，那后来比武大会结束之后就有一群人，这个一群人呢，就是一个 Prince John。我们知道 Prince John 就是要夺取王位那个比较不好那一群嘛。那这个骑士团他就在这种视道德毫无疑误的、视道德毫无顾忌的有一个领导者。这个领导者他的带领之下呢，他就居然俘虏了一群人。好，先看一下这个领导者叫什么名字，在第3段第1句的地方 Brian the Boy Gilbert。 这个人他带领了一群人，居然把 Cedric 这一群人给俘虏了。不过第3段第1句真的感觉有点复杂，我们先看一下。首先它有一个关系子句的简化，在第2个逗点之后的 led， 逗点之前跟第1个逗点中间，这个都是先行词。逗点之后的 led 引领领导的这个被动，前面少了 which 或者是 that 跟 be 动词的 is。那 by 就是由谁领导，我们刚刚说这是 Brian the Boy Gilbert 嘛。那他是谁呢？然后在最后面的逗点之后呢，又看到 who， 一直到 Scruples 这个地方是用来补充说明这一个所谓的 Brian the Boy Gilbert 他就是个坏蛋，然后他根本是道德毫无义务，完全没有顾忌。他就把 Cedric 还记得是谁吧？ Cedric 是 Ivanhoe 他的爸爸，自己的父亲，把他们一个 party 是一群人的意思哦，把他们居然都俘虏了。那当时的 Rowena、Rebecca 跟 Cedric 都一样， Ivanhoe 也一样，不过只有 Rebecca 知道 Ivanhoe 就在那一群人当中。那后来这个坏蛋这个 Brian 的 Boy Gilbert 把大家都带到一个城堡当中，而且居然还坦诚对 Rebecca 好喜欢哦，坦诚这种 passion。Rebecca 当然不喜欢他啦。接下来我们到第2段第4句咯，他就威胁说我要自杀，自我了断 commit suicide， 这样才能摆脱他。可是这个坏蛋呢 Brian 的 Boy Gilbert 居然还对他更喜欢呢，真是很讨厌。好，那在此同时 Cedric 也就是 Ivanhoe 的爸爸，他就必须要支付巨额的赎金才能获释。然后呢，同样的一个冲突就是故事好看的地方。但是如果身负重伤的 Ivanhoe 他真的跑出来，身份被发现，一定会被处死的。不过故事即将有转折，所以明天要继续收听哦。我是 Anna， 我们明天见。
That's it for today. If you think you're confused now, just think how confused you're going to be in our next lesson when the plot thickens.
Yes.
Even I'm beginning to not be able to keep track of all these people and all these events, but that's a characteristic of this book. We'll try to make it as clear as possible, and please join us then. From all of us here at English Digest, my name is Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Bye.